about you, Washington County? Thanks for tuning in to 15 Minutes with Fuzz. I'm Fuzz, and you're about to spend 15 minutes with me and a couple other people, but we'll talk about that in a second. First, I want to thank Justin Reichert for being the first ever person in the history of the world to purchase a 15 Minutes with Fuzz t-shirt from me. I just put together a little drop ship store on Square, and you can find it by going to fuzz.cc/merch. I make like $1 off a t-shirt sale. Fuzz.cc/merch. This week, I have two guests joining me in the studio. Ruth Henkle, the executive director at Albrecht Free Clinic, and Jillian Clark, the CEO and founder of Chix for a Cause. Both join me today to talk about a wonderful organization called 100 Plus Women Who Care of Washington County. The organization helps raise tens of thousands of dollars for Washington County nonprofits, and it's a super cool concept. With that, here are 15 minutes on 100 Plus Women Who Care of Washington County with Ruth Henkle and Jillian Clark on 15 Minutes with Fuzz. Ruth and Jillian, thank you so much for coming in today to 15 Minutes with Fuzz. I appreciate it. Can you please start with providing a little bit of an overview of what 100 Plus Women what 100 Plus Women Who Care of Washington County is all about?
Well, actually, we did not actually start this organization. In 2007, a woman in Michigan actually started, and she had over 100 women her first meeting and continued to do that and then grew from there. So there's chapters all over the United States. I think their third or fourth meeting, I was reading that they had $300,000, and that's where we want to be at some point. But it's a small intro of what we all have started to do because it's very simple. So the concept of this is you've got a group of women, the 100 plus women, and then they each make a donation. Is it 4 times a year? 4 times. Once a quarter, they come together and give $100. And prior to that, they nominate all these nonprofits within our county, and they have to be established for over a year. Okay. So we've had some that weren't and now are eligible to receive funds if so. The night of the event, they will pick 3 of the nonprofits, and then they will come up and speak, and then the group will vote on that. And if somebody is wanting to come in and can't afford the $100, you can bring 2 people in and do $50 each, and then they get 1 vote. So they'd have to decide which one that would be. Okay, and then the winning nonprofit gets all of the funds. Is that how that works? Correct. Okay. And you guys do that 4 times a year? 4 times a year. So you both started at different chapters before Washington County existed, right? Where did you guys begin?
I was a member of the Ozaukee County 100 Plus Women. And actually, when I came to Washington County and as the executive director at the Albrecht Free Clinic, I was like, we need to have this in our county. I mean, just knowing as a nonprofit leader, same with Jillian, how difficult it is to raise funds and tell your story. I kind of pulled together a couple of my friends, Jillian, Wendy Heather, and Terry Otis. We all worked together at when we were previous bankers and decided to form this nonprofit in Washington County.
So how long has that been in Washington County?
We started our first meeting in February of 2019, and I actually pulled the data. Elevate was our first recipient, and we had a great turnout on our first meeting where we raised $4,300 in our first meeting for
great.
Elevate. Great.
And now are you up over 100 women yet, or are you around that number?
Oh, yeah. 115 to be exact.
115. Okay, great.
Just to go back to where I started, I actually started the help with starting the 100 Plus Women in Milwaukee. I wasn't the founding member. I just came because it sounded really cool. And we were actually the very first recipient of their chapter, along with me being a member. I think I was a member for like 2 or 3 years. And they gave us $3,500. So we beat them. Love you, Milwaukee.
And that was with Chix for a Cause?
Yes, yeah, I was, great. Yes.
So how did you both find out about this organization to start? Where did you learn about it and what got you interested?
Well, in Ozaukee County, I just knew some friends that were in it. So a lot of this is really friends bringing other friends together. There is a social component. I mean, when we meet once a quarter, we have like a half an hour time where women friends have something to eat, something to drink, and just catch up. And then we have our meeting time, which goes for 1 hour. And we're really proud of starting on time and ending on time. I mean, that's one of the beauties of this. So really just friends bringing friends together to combine their resources for the greater good.
Is the meeting held at a different location every time, or where do they go?
We actually started, our very first one was a Cafe Surratt back in the day downstairs where Jody was. And then she moved to the precinct, and then we moved with her. And then we had the Norbert. Tony was very gracious to give us his space. And now we're starting to go to different places because it's only fair, right? We want people in Washington County to get take advantage, and other people to learn their business.
Sure.
And we want to really spread the meetings out throughout the county. So we did have a couple of meetings at Foundry 45 in Kewaskum. And so we're trying to get something west now, like in Hartford or Slinger, really to try to make it the entire county and collect women as members from those areas as well.
Sure. And I assume also supporting the nonprofits that are in areas throughout the county as well.
Exactly. And the women that come as well, wherever they're coming in their radius. And now because we've gotten so big, the smaller places that we have held these meetings, we just need bigger places.
Right? Yeah.
I think that's one of the beauties of this as well, is that women learn about nonprofits that they didn't even know existed. I mean, one of the criteria is that the nonprofit has to serve Washington County so that our funds stay in Washington County. And so we're all learning something about a new nonprofit or a nonprofit that has a need that we didn't know about. And so that really is another really beautiful component of this group.
And if people are listening, we also will take founding nonprofits that started in Washington County, and they may go outside of Washington County, but they have to designate those funds in Washington County as well because of their service, maybe outside.
Sure. So they may have grown outside the borders, but as long as the funds are spent here, then you're helping out. That's great. So you've mentioned Elevate and obviously Albrecht Free Clinic, Chix for a Cause. What are some other of the nonprofits that you've supported in the past?
Family Promise, Friends of Washington County, the United Way, the Humane Society, the Historical Society, which is now
the Tower.
That Tower, right?
The Tower Heritage Center.
Casa Guadalupe. I mean, it's the
most recent was the trafficking nonprofit,
right,
in Hartford.
Right. So there are a lot of new nonprofits that are popping up as well. And like Jillian said, they do have to wait until they have their IRS certificate. And we do make sure they're a 501c3. And we do that because most of our members want the tax deduction.
Sure.
And that's important to them. And we also want a nonprofit to have some experience and know that they're going to continue so that our donations are going to serve those.
We also did the foster closet.
Oh yeah, the foster closet. Yep. One other thing that we brought with us from the Ozaukee County chapter is that the Schultze Family Foundation, which is the family that founded Best Buy, they specifically in their foundation match up to 50% or up to $5,000. So if we're over $10,000, the max they will do is a $5,000 per quarter grant. And not every nonprofit is eligible because they're pretty specific on health and human services agencies versus the arts.
Sure.
But every quarter we submit an application to them and then they let us know if the nonprofit is selected. So our membership makes the check payable directly to the nonprofit so that they receive the tax deduction letter from the nonprofit. But then we find out about a month after our meeting if the nonprofit will receive an additional $5,000.
How does a nonprofit go about getting themselves nominated? Is that through the members?
Pretty much through the members. Some of the nonprofits have found out about us, and they also, like myself as a nonprofit, I've joined, founding member, but we get other nonprofits that will come first and join, and they will also nominate their own nonprofit. or the member would.
Sure. Typically, is it just 4 or how many nominated entities do you have at a thing? Or is it just as many as...
When Terry Otis is one of the ladies that helps us with the back end of the admin, and she will send out all the emails to the founding members, and then they will send in their nominations.
Okay.
And from there, they will have somebody pick the 3. So it could be 10, 15, it could be 2 or 3, and then she'll start sending another email and saying, hey, we need some more nonprofits.
Okay.
So nominations are by members only.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So like Jillian said, every member could nominate each quarter. So they really take the time to find out nonprofits that they're passionate about or the needs of the nonprofits that they're connected to. And then they'll put in the nomination, but then we randomly draw 3 each quarter. And then those 3 are presented at the meeting. And then only the people that are attending the meeting can vote. So even
can't do a proxy or anything like that.
No.
Right.
And then if an organization has won in the past, are they allowed to be nominated again?
2 years. You have to wait 2 years.
Have to wait 2 years. Okay. Obviously, as this grows more and more, it becomes even more beneficial each quarter to that. So how does somebody who may be listening and wants to get involved, or maybe they've got a group of friends that are looking to get involved with some sort of nonprofit, how do they get into the 100+ women who care in Washington County?
Well, we have our next meeting on October 10th, but I am not sure the location. But
I believe it's Skinny Vic's.
Okay.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
Skinny Vic's.
So we always meet the first month of each quarter, the second Tuesday.
Okay.
So second Tuesday, the first month of the quarter at 5:30. We do have a website. We are on Facebook.
It's more Facebook, no website.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, so
we are looking for social media people, so that we don't have a big presence. We have the
yeah.
But I would encourage anybody interested to reach out to me. I'm at the Albrecht Free Clinic.
Myself at Chix for a Cause, Jillian Clark.
Right, and the other 2 members, Terry Otis or Wendy Heather, are currently retired, so it's probably easier to reach out to Jillian or I. But really come to a meeting, find out if they know somebody that goes to a meeting, and just come. We have a lot of members that come to the meeting before they're a member.
Sure.
And then they hear the stories. And I think the last meeting, we had over 10 new members join that night. They came as a guest. And they just filled out the paperwork. And that's another thing. If they fill out the paperwork that night and they're committing to that financial amount quarterly, we let them vote that night.
Okay.
They become a member instantly.
Great.
And once that nonprofit was a recipient, the next quarter that we meet, that nonprofit comes back and actually explains what they did with the money. Or at least there was one that said, well, we just put it in the savings account because we'll need it for rent and such. And that's okay, because it's really hard to get capacity grants around as a nonprofit.
For sure.
So if that's what you're doing, at least the members kind of know what they are planning on doing. They don't have to spend the money within the quarter, but at least they get a really good idea where that money is going to. And I think that's really a beneficial thing, that, you give in your $100 and making all this money, and then they come back and tell you what they did with it.
Yeah, certainly. I think I know the answer to this, but do the members have to live in Washington County, or like if they work in Washington County, can they, or just are interested in?
Yeah, I live in Ozaukee County, but I work in Washington County. So it's not, it's more about supporting the nonprofits that are in Washington County. We have some that may live in Florida, but they're here for the summer. And so
Arizona.
Right. So it's really not where you live. It's more, are you passionate about the nonprofits and the work that needs to be done in Washington County? And if you're willing to support it financially once a quarter is really what our requirements are.
Perfect. Well, it's really an awesome concept. And I think it lowers the barrier of entry of supporting things like this. And it's also obviously has the big social component and really brings together women in Washington County. I think it's great. So thank you to both of you for coming in. Thanks to the organization. I'll put your contact information into the show notes if that's okay. And then let people know how to get to the Facebook page as well.
I would just like to say one more thing.
Yeah.
We looked at our notes, and since our first meeting in February of 2019, we have contributed as a group close to $200,000 to
Oh,
the
wow.
nonprofits of Washington County.
Right, since 2019.
Yes, February of 2019.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So again, I mean, this is an amazing impact on our community, and we appreciate you being here, and thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you for having us.
You're welcome. Thank you again to Jillian Clark and Ruth Henkle for joining me on this week's episode of 15 Minutes with Fuzz. After the interview, Jillian wanted me to mention that these 100-plus groups can be formed by others as well, not just women. You can have 100-plus men who care, 100-plus businesses who care, 100-plus friends or kids or pets who care. You get the idea. Again, such a super cool concept and a great way to get involved and help local nonprofits. Thank you for listening to the show. If you ever have a suggestion for guests for the show, please be sure to reach out. Go to 15withfuzz@gmail.com. That is 15 spelled out, withfuzz@gmail.com. Or you can go to fuzz.cc/guest and fill out the form. That's fuzz.cc/guest. New episodes come out on Tuesdays. Next week, we talk to the Bend Theater. Like your favorite Wisconsin-based gas station, I'll see you next time, right here on 15 Minutes with Fuzz.